This tutorial will demonstrate the technique for creating a photo slideshow music video from a collection of digital photographs. All of these photographs were taken with a Canon digital SLR camera. They're all JPEGs and they have a native dimension of 4752 by 3168. I use Adobe Lightroom to manage my photograph collections. When I initially imported these photographs into the Lightroom catalog, I increased their contrast by a factor of 70%. I have found that increasing contrast to 70% on digital photographs taken of outdoor scenery improves their look in Camtasia projects. In order to work with these photographs in a Camtasia project, we're going to need to export them from Lightroom and downsize them to a smaller size. Specifically, I'm going to downsize all these photographs to 1620 by 1080. That way, the photographs will completely fill the canvas vertically when project settings are set to HD or 1920 by 1080. I'll point out that I always make my photo slideshow videos at 1920 by 1080, even though the photographs themselves are 1620 by 1080. I do this because I have found over time that the 1920 by 1080 editing and production results in a slightly sharper looking video than if I produce them at 1620 by 1080. The selected block of photographs total 67 images. I'm going to go ahead and export them all at one time by clicking the export function in Lightroom. The export wizard gives me some options. I'm going to leave their existing names alone because the names are all sequential based upon the time that the photographs were taken by the camera. I am, however, going to resize the images. I'm going to resize the images to fit the short edge of each image to 1080 pixels. That way I will get a 1620 by 1080 image for a landscape photo or a 1080 by 1620 image for a portrait photo. Also note that I've set the pixels per inch resolution to 300, and I'm going to sharpen the images a little bit on export for best viewing on a screen as opposed to printing on paper. I've used the sharpening amount set to the highest level possible in Lightroom. I'll click the export button to execute. The export has completed. These are all the exported photos. I've selected one. Note that its dimensions are now 1620 by 1080. All of the images have the same dimensions. It's very important that when making photo slideshows that all the images are the same size before you import them into Camtasia. If you can do that, you will have a better outcome because you won't be relying on Camtasia doing the scaling. In a new project, in a new instance of Camtasia, first thing I'm going to do is check my project settings. I'm currently working with a custom setting size. I'm going to change that to HD or 1920 by 1080. I'm also going to apply a canvas color. In this case, I have preset set up for slideshows. I'll use a teal color and apply it. Another thing I want to do is check my preferences. Specifically, I want to look for the timing values. I like to make sure that my images for slideshows initially go on the timeline at 6 seconds. This makes it easy to do the math. 10 photos at 6 seconds long, 60 seconds. It makes it very easy for me to match the duration of a slideshow with a piece of music. Also, I often add captions to the slideshows. I also will set caption duration to 6 seconds. This looks pretty good, so I'll click OK. I'll go ahead and import the image, so that's Control I. Select them all, so that's Control A. Open. So far, there's only the photos in the media bin, so I can select one, Control A to select them all, then I'll right-click, add them all to the timeline. And to double check here, I'm going to hover over the first one, confirm it's 6 seconds, and looking at the file name, I can see they all went on in the correct order. I'll reset the timeline view here using Control-Shift-7, and I'll note that the total duration of all these 6-second photos is 6 minutes 42 seconds. So I want to pick a piece of music that matches that time duration. I manage my music collection using Windows Media Player. I'm looking at my collection here. I'm going to resort all the items based upon their duration or length. And I'm going to try to find a piece of music that's 6:42 or thereabout. And here's one here. Having selected that, I'll right click, open the file location, and then I'll select that piece of music, drag and drop it to the timeline, placing it at t=0. Now, once it's on the timeline, I notice that the music is a little bit longer than my photos. So I'm going to play the music at the end of the file just to make sure that this overhang here is music and not something else. So I'll go ahead and play it. Okay, glad I did that because all of this looks like it's applause. I'm going to zoom in here. Go back to where I know the music ends, which is just about here. With the music clip selected, I'll use the S key to split it. And then I'm going to delete that overhang. Control-Shift-7. Now my images are a little bit longer in duration than the music. To fix the overhang with the images, I'm going to use clip speed adjustment to change their duration. So I'm going to select them all. Then I'm going to go to Visual Effects, Clip Speed, right click, add it to all those clips. The music looks like it's about 6 minutes 31 seconds, yet the total images are currently 6 minutes 42. So I have to do a little math. And I'll open up the calculator in Windows. And to get the adjustment factor I'm going to take our total duration of 6:42, that's 402 seconds, divided by the song duration, which is 6:31 or 391 seconds. Enter key. Correction factor looks like it's essentially rounded off to 1.03. Here we can close that. And with all these images still selected, we'll go to clip speed. I'll change the factor to 1.03. Enter key. And you can see that that adjustment took place real nice. I'm going to zoom in, Control-Shift-9. There's a little bit of overhang here. I'm going to double check my song a little bit. I'm going to cut the song off right about here to get rid of that, what I think to be the start of the applause. And to clean this up while I'm here, I'm going to apply a fade out on the audio just so it goes away smoothly. So I'll make a selection. The audio is selected. This time we'll go to Audio Effects, Fade Out, Add to Media, and now the song will fade out nicely, and we'll test. That sounds pretty good. Control Shift 7. Control Home puts the playhead back at T = 0. Now, once I've adjusted the duration of my image clips to match the music, if I want to add any captions, I want to do that now. And the reason I want to do it now and not before I applied the clip speed is that if I add captions and then apply clip speed to the images, the captions will no longer match the timing on the images themselves. So you want to put your captions in at this point if you're going to use them. And of course you can navigate to an image real easy this way and add a caption. I'm not going to bother for purposes of this tutorial, but that's when you would do it. However, the one thing I'm going to do at this point is add a fade transition to all the images. So I'm going to select them all. And the last transition that I had used was a fade, so I just can add it by using Shift T. And you'll see a transition's been added to each image. I'm going to put the playhead back at T = 0, zoom in a little bit. I need to select the transition that's at T = 0 because you're not seeing an image yet. If I delete that, you'll start off seeing your photo. I'm going to send the playhead to the end. Do the same thing to the last transition because right now it's blocking my images. I got rid of that, and now if I scrub back a frame or so, your photograph will last to the very end of the video. Once again, I'll send the playhead home, Control Home, Control Shift 7. Now I like to put a start group and sometimes an in group on my photo slideshows. I have that in a library called Photo Slideshows. Here's my start group. I'm going to stick that at T = 0. It consists of a title and some information on using the slideshow. I'll double click the title, select the text, and then I'm going to change the title to something appropriate. In this case, landscape photos. And I can see that I need to change the date value in this text call out. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, make it easier. Pull up, double click to select the item, and then change the date on the marquee here to the 19th, which is today's date. Go back to Fit View. Time for me to save the project. Control S. And I'm going to call it Landscape Photos. And I'll overwrite the one that's there. That's fine. I'll also add a in-group call out. I've got one in my library. Add it to the timeline. Let me zoom in a little bit here now. And I'm going to pull him down so that the call out ends at the very end of the slideshow. And to triple check, I usually send the playhead to the end and back one frame to make sure that everything looks right, including my in group, and that the audio doesn't overhang the end of the video, which would cause it to end on a blank frame. That looks pretty good. Control Shift 7, Control Home, and I'll save that last change, Control S. I like to add a dynamic watermark to my slideshows. I have one in the library. I'm going to right click, put it on the timeline at T = 0. If I do Control Shift 7, you can see that the watermark currently overhangs the end of the video by quite a bit. I can just drag it back, or the trick that I like to use if it's a real long one is disable that track, use Control N to find the end of the project, re-enable, select, Control Shift N, Control X, trims it off, Control Shift 7 again, and then Control Home. And that looks pretty good. Control S to save. I'm now ready to produce the video. For purposes of the tutorial, I'm just going to make a short production. I'll make a selection on the timeline of the first few images. That'll work. Right click, produce selection as. I do custom productions, MP4 player. I'm going to auto hide controls, and I'm using stop with replay button. Pause and start will be automatic thumbnail. Checking my sizes. I confirm it's HD dimensions. Video settings. I use H.264 at high and quality at 70%. Those are important settings if you want to have a high quality looking color slideshow. Audio settings are 256 because there's music involved. And if there were captions or table of contents, I'd make the appropriate adjustments here. I'll click next. This all looks good. I'll execute. The production is now completed. We'll open the output folder. I'm going to select the player HTML to launch. Execute with the enter key. Notice that the image looks nice and sharp. Okay, I'm going to full screen this, F11. And we'll play it and see how she came out. Audio is coming through the speaker, so it won't be as great as if it was system audio. That looks pretty good. I'll Control W to stop that. And I'll get out of full screen with F11. Go back to Camtasia. Click Finish. And I'll save the project one more time. And I usually export everything as zip. So that's Alt-F-E. And I usually put my zips in the output production folder. That way it keeps everything in the same place. And I'll execute the zip export. And that completes the tutorial.